On today's episode of the Real Recovery Podcast, episode number 105, we are thrilled to welcome Mark S. Mark's journey spans decades of struggle with alcohol, identity, and survival. From a Pentecostal upbringing that told him who he was would send him to hell, to the streets of Southern California, to a near-fatal suicide attempt that left him in a coma for 3 days. Now more than 2 years sober, Mark has found his footing through service, community, and a higher power he defines on his own terms, the group of Alcoholics Anonymous itself. His story is raw, honest, and full of hard-won wisdom, and it just might be exactly what someone out there needs to hear today.
Hello, and welcome to the Real Recovery Podcast. I'm Julie, your co-host. On this journey of healing and transformation, together with my co-host Peter, we dive into the heart of recovery, sharing stories that resonate with courage and inspiration.
That's right, Julie. Each episode is a new chapter in this vast narrative of recovery, and we're honored to bring them to you. But keep in mind, the perspectives you'll hear are for informational purposes only and may not reflect the views of the podcast or our partners.
Indeed, while these conversations can be a powerful part of your recovery toolkit, they are not substitute for professional medical advice. We encourage you to seek guidance from your healthcare provider for any treatment-related decisions.
And if you're facing an immediate crisis, or if you just need to talk to someone who understands, don't hesitate to call the Recovery Crisis Line at 503-223-8569. That number is also on our website. Help is available 24/7.
Now let's begin our episode
Of recovery, real recovery.
Hi, this is Julie from the Real Recovery Podcast.
And this is Peter. Welcome. Glad to have you all here. This is the first time we're doing this with a Zoom type recording. So we don't have a guest in studio, but we're doing it remotely. And I'd like to welcome Mark.
Thank you for having me, Peter and Julie. It's great to be here.
I met Mark at Extended Family.
It's been a while now, a few years.
It has been a while now. I would say 3 years?
Beginning of COVID,
4.
4 or 5.
Yeah. I'm excited you're here, Mark. You have a powerful story. And one of the reasons I'm really glad that you're here is because you believe in other people as your higher power,
Right.
which was the same for me. When I came in, it was a group of orderly drunks. It really was. It was parole officer and then that. And I love how you say it. And I know some people in different programs get turned off by that concept. Peter really loves nature and stuff like that. So I'm excited to hear your whole story. I've heard you chair, but chairing and getting to hear your whole story is a little different. And I'm excited.
I'm excited too, and this is going to be a new experience for me. And I'm all into new experiences because now being sober, I'm not afraid of stuff as much as I used to be.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for agreeing to do this. I don't know what studio we call this. Studio C, Studio Computer.
It could be.
We usually call it Studio H for Peter's house or Studio J for Julie's. So
Studio
maybe it could
I
be
for internet.
yeah, or Studio M for Mark's studio. Yeah, there you go. Mark,
this
you
is-
are the
this is-
first episode of our 3rd year.
Oh, that's
I
right.
feel
Yeah,
lucky. That's great. Cool.
I think.
Yeah.
think
We're
it's
starting
pretty
our
cool.
3rd year. Hooray. We made it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you'll be the 105th episode. We've done an episode every week, 52 weeks times 2.
Wow, that's great. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I-
It's been a labor of love, that's for sure.
That's definitely commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess start in the beginning. How did you get to where you needed some help from a program?
The beginning. It's been a long journey. I'm older. I'm not as old as but I'm old, and I've always looked older than I was. So that's just how it is for me. So I'm used to it. But yeah, so my first drink was in 1968, and that was at a for my marriage, and she was Catholic, and so their family had booze at the wedding, which was different from my family, which my family was very Christian, and so alcohol was not a part of our lives. yeah, that was my first experience with drinking. And my cousins, Scotty and Gary, decided to have me drink some champagne. So I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. And of course, when everybody was out dancing, we were stealing their champagne off the table and drinking it. So I don't think I got drunk, but I definitely got tipsy. And then my parents didn't know, but that was my cousins, Scotty and Gary. And Scotty has died. He has had problems with drugs and alcohol his whole life and died rather young. Then my parents were, like I said, very religious people. I grew up in a Pentecostal environment. I don't know if that people know what that is, but very religious, very strict, very evangelical Christians. And so from an early age, I heard the stories of going to hell and heaven. I was pretty sure I was going to hell, even as a young, because
Wow.
I liked other boys, and I knew that was by what people said in my church was wrong.
Yeah, that's exactly my upbringing too.
Yeah. And so I used to think to myself, I'm going to go to hell because I had these thoughts that are bad, and I acted on them. I was very active as a child sexually. So I was not molested that I remember, but I was just hypersexual. I've always been hypersexual. And that's just the way it was for me. And so if you're a friend of mine, and when I was 5 or 6 years old, I think there was a lot of sex play going on. And that's just how it was for us in my neighborhood.
Wow, that is young.
Yeah, no, it was really some of my first memories are that. And so I don't know why that was, because I can't tie it to anything, but I know that it had a lot to do with my alcoholism as I got older, guilt and shame based the religious upbringing, and a God that was very vindictive. And I started my real drinking when I was a teenager at friends' houses. I'd go to their house and their parents had alcohol, and I would like, yeah, let's mix some drinks. So that's the kind of stuff. That started about 13 or so. But yeah, and so I went through puberty when I was in 5th grade. So I was very young, and I grew in 6th grade to my height that I am now, 5'9". So I was a big kid. And in junior high, I was one of the biggest kids in school. And because I was I didn't like myself too much. Didn't like my dad. My dad was a gunnery sergeant before I grew up, before I was born. So he was very strict. And he did not spare the rod, and I was not a spoiled child. So he took it out on me when I was doing things that were bad. He definitely took it out on me with a belt, and I got it a lot. And I was bad a lot, I guess, because I got it a lot. But so in junior high, I really rebelled. I became a bully. I would put kids in trash cans and grab their money and take their money and stuff. All the while, I was sexually involved with a lot of people in my junior high school. And I was just acting out. I was just doing my cumulative GPA out of junior high school was 1.4. Yeah.
Wow, because you are super smart.
Well, I don't know about super smart, but I definitely should be getting better than a D plus. I was just totally rebellious. I would get kicked out of classes, and I was talking back to teachers in the 1970s when that was not an okay thing to be doing. Nowadays, I think kids get away with more than I got away with. I remember.
It was never okay when I was in school either. I don't know if that's dating us and our ages, but
Yeah.
yeah. And I went to a Catholic school, no less. So it
Yeah.
was definitely not okay to talk to Sister Honora Rita that way.
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, they did not. Anyway, so I in junior high, it was bad. I was acting out a lot, and so when I went to high school, I continued that. On my first day of high school, I picked out a kid named Michael, and I decided I was going to just make his life hell, and I was attracted to him, and that's what you do when you hate yourself. And I picked up on him. He went to a counselor at the high school named Mr. Pucci, who was a little Mexican guy. And Mr. Pucci decided to help me out of my. So Mr. Pucci I didn't know who he was. He was just this little Mexican man. And he would meet me around campus all the time and say to me, I'm going to get you. He at the bottom. And this is what I did to Michael, my friend. He would say, I'm going to get you, man, with this little Chicano accent. And I was like, I scared the Jesus out of me because there's this grown man, I don't know who he is, and he's wandering around the campus telling me he's going to get me. Eventually, he called me into the office and said, what is your problem? We had a talk, and he straightened me out. he made me apologize to Michael, which I did. And Michael and I became really good friends in that high school. And it changed me. But my drinking really started going off at that time. I was doing a lot of drinking outside of my home because my dad would have not allowed that. And I was definitely living a dual lifestyle. I was doing a lot of sex, a lot of drinking it with friends, and then using alcohol as a way to get these guys to have sex with me.
Yeah.
So it was like, and I was still going to church all the time with my parents because that was a requirement for them to go to church. And I liked the church, and I also used the church as a means to find other guys to have sex with.
Wow.
So I was quite the terror around that.
Yeah.
Terrible. It's like I've told people before, about the age of 16, my dad caught me with a guy and having sex, and he kicked me out of the house. He said, "We're not going to allow your type in here." Or I can't remember exactly what happened. It was one of those things where he caught me with my pants down, literally.
Oh, wow.
and it just did not go well. And I was scared. He had been talking prior to this. There was a woman who was transgendered at his job. He was a manager of a store in California. And there was a transgender woman named Penny. And he would talk about how somebody should kill Penny. Somebody should,
Wow.
yeah, it should not live. And I didn't know who Penny was, but I knew that he did not like it. I knew that I was taught that homosexuals should be killed in my church. So I lived this life, and I was worried, I was scared, and he kicked me out my way or the highway, and I had gone off his path. So
Wow.
I ended up, during all this time, I was turning tricks. If you don't know what tricks are, I was having sex with older men in a park that was real close to my school for money. And so the park was called Hillcrest, and it was well known. Guys would pull up in their cars, and then we'd go down and talk with them, and or there'd be a glory hole at the top in the bathroom at the top of the park. And I was just really sexually active. I'd be at the park drinking, of course.
Right.
And
In Seattle, it was volunteer park. I didn't turn tricks there, but that's where we'd go and hook up, and similar
And
stuff.
volunteer.
It was volunteer park. Yeah, and volunteer.
And volunteer.
Park.
You'd have these guys would roll in their cars. We didn't know them by their names. It'd be 914, or it'd be Cadillac Man, or we'd have these names for them. Anyway, at the same time I was working, I had a job with Parks and Recreation there at the park. It was
Wow.
it was a perfect storm because I was able to work at the park, trick at the park,
And drink at the park.
at the park. It was like, could there be anything better? And during this time of my drinking, I really wasn't having too many major problems. I wasn't going into, it was still fun at that point. There were a couple times I had some problems, but it wasn't always. Yeah. And there were two guys, older guys. I was living with two gay men. Well, I don't remember their names. They let me come rent a room out of their apartment, and I had a really cool apartment. It was just an average apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, but it had a jacuzzi and a sauna and a pool. And at 6, I was living on my own, and I had
Yeah.
a pad that I could pick up people and bring them over to have sex in the jacuzzi or the sauna or wherever.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, this was the 1970, in the late 1970s. Things were still good. This is pre-AIDS.
Right.
By the way, I had gonorrhea twice before I was 15. So,
We didn't need to know that, Mark. I'm just saying. No, just kidding.
yeah, this is how active I was. I just went blurry. Anyway, I was very active, and I was going around a lot of guys. And thank goodness for penicillin, but boy, that shot hurt. Anyway, oh man. But so I was drinking the whole time, and I was able, because I looked older than I was able, in California at the time, you could buy alcohol when you were 18, I think.
Wow.
And I looked 18 and when I was 16. So I was able to go to certain liquor stores or stores and buy alcohol. And so I was living large, but things got bad pretty fast. My first real negative experience, there were two guys, older guys, again, who lived close to the park. Go figure, gay guys living close to the gay park.
Right.
People, and their names were Bob and Owen. And Owen was older. Bob was really old. He was like 30. But Owen was like in his late 20s, which was old, but he still looked pretty cute. They would have parties there at their little apartment. And
I love it. I love your story. It brings back some memories for me.
so Bob and Owen would have these parties and invite certain people over to their house, their apartment. They're close to the park. And of course, we were doing dancing and a lot of poppers, Himmel with their thumbs. Anyway, one night I had a 76 Country Squire wagon because why not? It was cheap, not to run, but to buy because we had the oil embargo and stuff during that era. So I had this big wagon, and you could party in the wagon. It was one of those jobs. And I lived on my own. I had my own apartment with the guys, or I was homeless. I was just bouncing around, man. And so it was like this. I don't remember. I've got these little vignettes that I remember. I can't place between 1977 and about 1985. All these things happened to me, but I can't tell you exactly. It was just, they're all disjointed. I know where they were. And I remember eating a bottle of belladonna and waking up a day or two later in my car, but I can't tell you where it was. I can't tell you what year it was.
Yeah, that happened to me too. I was a blackout drinker, and yeah, I'd wake up, where am I? And not knowing who was with me and even how I got there. And yeah, it was pretty scary looking back on it.
I always tell Peter, I don't know what is worse, right? Blackout drinking and not remembering, right? Or tweaking and remembering everything down to your shoelaces. I don't know which is worse. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, because I avoided a lot of my negative behaviors because I couldn't remember them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an easy way out.
Yeah, except everybody else around you remembers.
Oh,
But the good thing is back then there wasn't the cell phone recording everything and Facebook and all of that, right? I would have been dead. I couldn't show my face if I had that my day.
Yeah. During this period of time, I was frequenting a bar called Rumor Has It in Garden Grove, California. And it was owned by a guy we named him One Nut Ted. And I don't know why that's what his name was, because he was really old. He was probably 50 something. Anyway.
he had one nut.
Anyway, but I never tested that theory out. And Ted was just really creepy. Old guys are in, the young guys are creepy anyway, but Ted was really creepy anyway. Because he owned the bar, and it was a real dive bar. But there'd be like old guys on one side and the teenagers. I was 16 when I was going to this bar. He would let me in and it would get raided all the time by the cops. But he must have been paying money out, paying somebody off, because the bar would open up again. I don't know how I did it anyway. But there was a guy at the bar, and he liked me, and I didn't know. He was a nice looking guy, but I didn't know who the fuck he was. And anyway, it was Tab Hunter. You know who Tab Hunter is?
Sounds familiar.
He was a 50s icon, Hollywood, like a Rock Hudson type guy.
Yeah.
I'm looking right now.
Yeah, he was in Hairspray and movies like that. Anyway, he was a pretty good looking guy even when he was older. But somebody said, that's Tab Hunter. I said, I don't care who he is. He's old. Anyway, I didn't know who he was. But he was at the bar. I guess he was in some sort of a play in Anaheim at the time. He was a has-been, some sort of off, like, play at Land.
Way off.
Yeah. You have to make a living sometimes. Anyway,
sure.
He was there. But the bar, oh man, there was all these teenagers at one side of the bar, all these old men at the other side of the bar. And they would buy us drinks, and we would turn tricks, basically, go home with them for money. And so I had a good work ethic. I just didn't keep them for very long because I'd do weird things, like I'd get drunk and just not show up for months and stuff like that.
Right.
Funny how that happens, huh?
Yeah. One time this was before my dad had kicked me out. I took my parents' car. I was headed to work. I got drunk and dropped the car off at LAX and flew to San Francisco.
Wow.
Yeah. And then 3 days later, I called and said, oh, by the way, the car's at LAX. I'm in San Francisco.
Oh, my goodness.
That's the kind of stuff I would do. And
that's some crazy shit.
Yeah, when I drank, I did weird things. I've been in and out of mental hospitals because usually what happens is I get 5150 because my 5150 is where they put you 72-hour hold in the mental hospital. because they're like, he's crazy. Anyway, and I had that happen over and over again when I was a teenager. And it always, I have mental health problems anyway. Add alcohol to it, really intense. I become catatonic or start destroying things. I've thrown televisions through windows.
Oh my.
Yeah. And kicked out the windows of my car one time, this Country Squire wagon.
Did you ever, during all these episodes and outbursts or whatnot, did it ever occur to you that maybe I drink too much?
No, I thought that I was just straight.
Oh,
I just thought there came a time, and I'll tell you when the first time that I got in touch with AA, I was living in a motel in Laguna Beach, California. And that was after throwing a window, television through a window at my roommate. I was working as a houseboy for a millionaire named Blankenship, who owned the Holiday Inn in Texas, and he was living in California. He had a great beach house in Laguna, and I was his houseboy. Anyway, he had a full-time housekeeper. I was the houseboy. He was a straight guy, but anyway, he had to have a houseboy. I don't know why. Anyway, he would pay me under the table. Well, I was living in a motel room in Laguna Beach. After getting kicked out of the house I was in, after going to court, it's just a long story. Anyway, in this motel, and I had a full bar at the hotel. So, because I was always into alcohol. Alcohol was my go-to. It was easy to get in California, and I would do any of your drugs that you had, any drugs that you had, as long as it wasn't injectable. 'Cause I didn't like needles, but alcohol is what I chose. So I had a full bar, and for some reason, I was drunk again, like always, and I was suicidal, which happens to me all the time when I drink. And I called AA. They sent two guys out, which is what they do in a 12-step program call. They dumped my alcohol and took me to a meeting in Laguna. And I remember I wasn't drunk. I wasn't in a blackout, but I was drunk enough. And I remember being in the meeting. Don't remember anything that was said, but I knew that I was having troubles. I was having problems. And that was probably about 1980 or 79. I don't know. Yeah. So I kept going to that Laguna meeting for a little while. But then, of course, I thought, I don't have a problem, or I don't want to be. I'm in Laguna Beach. I'm young. I'm in Laguna Beach, California, and it's a party.
Yeah.
The Boom Room, the Little Shrimp, places that I would go. And I didn't want to miss out on the fear of missing out. And I was still young.
Young and invisible.
Yeah. So, yeah, I did. It was just tough I had to throw the reason I was in the hotel or motel, throwing the TV through the guy's window, drunk out of my mind, ended up on Laguna Canyon Road, was hit by a car, I guess. That's what happened. I don't know. I ended up in Mission Viejo Hospital, paralyzed on half of my face, my body. And eventually I got better and ended up in the motel room and started drinking again. That's what I was doing. So I was like, you got a problem, Mark. At least I thought so at the time. Yeah, it was just, but I've been in and out of AA since the 70s. I would end up in a mental hospital or end up in a jail. I only had been to jail once, and that was in Laguna Beach. And it wasn't for that incident. It was for something else when I was younger. And I was always just destroy everything around me, either people or property, or always had to do with alcohol. If I'm not drinking, I'm a pretty nice guy. I got my dad's temper, but it's a slow burn. But when I'm drinking, it's right on the surface.
Yeah. Drinking definitely changed my personality, and it depended on what I was drinking. Like tequila was the worst. People used to say, "Don't ever drink tequila, Peter. You're just a bitch. You're just nasty." And I don't know why, but yeah, it changed my personality. Of course, as I got more into drinking, it got worse and worse.
Yeah.
My personality and the troubles, just like you. It sounds like very similar.
Yeah. Anyway, AIDS happened, and that scared the bejesus out of me. But I didn't stop drinking, and I definitely didn't stop having sex, because it was like, when I drank, it didn't matter to me.
Right.
I didn't want to live anyway half the time. And yeah, it's just one of those things. Now, I have this weird, I don't know, I heard somebody talk about it the other day, it's some sort of deficiency that causes you not to be, it's less likely to get HIV and AIDS.
Hmm.
And I've got that. And when I was in Laguna, they were doing a study on some of us that had been HIV infected that worked through the University of California, Irvine. And they would pay us money to take our blood. And I did that for a while, but I decided that I didn't like needles. It was just, they weren't paying me enough anyway. But I definitely should have been HIV positive. I'm not HIV positive. I don't have hepatitis C, B, or A, and all these things. But I definitely got other sexually transmitted diseases. So I don't know.
For me, I was lucky that the worst I got was crabs. But I should have, by rights, looking back on just the alcohol made it so that I didn't care either. And all the different partners that I've had, I should have it for sure. But I managed to escape that. And most transmitted things other than crabs was the worst thing I actually got.
Crabs are always fun.
No, they're not.
I have never had crabs or an STD. You guys are like, yeah.
Oh, crap.
The only crab I've had is from the ocean, the beach, or whatever. Yeah.
It seems like with running an escort service,
Yeah.
maybe you would have gotten something.
I'm going to tell you no. I'm going to tell you it was more like Julia Roberts in Pretty Women when she pulls out the 5 condoms and she says, "What color do you want?" And then she says, "I don't kiss my clients." Okay. When I saw that movie, I was like, "Oh my God, she follows the rules." Like, you couldn't pay me enough money to kiss you. My kisses are worth millions of dollars, okay? If I kiss you, you should feel fucking blessed, okay? And honestly, I didn't have sex without a condom until my daughter's father. And guess what happened? I got fucking
You got
pregnant.
pregnant.
Yeah, I figured that out real quick. But yeah, no, just the opposite. And I'm a germaphobe, and I was a germaphobe back then. And I think it has served me well, especially because I was an IV drug user, right? I was so scared because of AIDS. And when AIDS came out in 1986, that was the highest I was during like when it was super popular. But I would go to the hospital. One time I didn't have a clean needle, and I went to the hospital and told them I was diabetic, and they gave me a new needle. And then
Wow.
I just decided you could go to Good Sam Hospital, and there's a pharmacy in the bottom past the emergency room, and I would buy 1,200 of them in a box at one time. So I was just, and honestly, if it was clean needle or get high, it was clean needle. Now, mind you, I very rarely ever was in that situation because I bought them 1,200 at a time. I guess it's an alcoholic running out of booze. You know what I'm saying? But I think my paranoia really served me well. I'm the same way today. And you know this. Like, I am Mark, you don't you're not in meetings with me, but very rarely do I hold hands. Okay? Like I will go to the bathroom. I will get out of it. If you cough into your hand, I promise you're not holding hands with me. Like I am schizo and now right now the flu's going around pretty big time and so is COVID and I'm on my last 3 months of my year probation at work and I'm scared to get sick. I'm scared to miss work. I'm scared I'll lose my job. Then I go from there to the brain and where I'm unemployed and homeless and living in a tent and need a shower. I can go from one extreme, no, seriously, to the other, which I will say I manage a lot better than I used to. I stay in today a lot of the time, but if I want to, squirrel,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I hear you.
yeah. I know you got married.
Who, me?
Yeah,
Didn't get married. We were together for 28 years.
there you go.
Yeah, I got scared of HIV, and in 1984, 85, it was rampant in Southern California, and so I said, "I'm out of here. I'm going where there isn't AIDS." I went to Oregon, came to Oregon, which did have AIDS and HIV, but just fewer people that were infected.
Yeah, like I said, you said 1985. I said 1986. That's when,
Yeah.
yeah,
Anyway, so
yeah.
I found a guy who was a young, really cute young guy. I was 25, he was 20. and I fell in love with him and decided he would be my partner. And anyway, he didn't have a choice in the matter, and we were together for 28 years. Now, I did
Wow.
was in a name, and and I didn't know we would be codependent at the time I met him, but he put up with me for 28 years.
That's a long time.
Now, were you drinking that whole time, or was that through into sobriety?
Oh no, I was drinking the whole time. I would do things, get sober for a little bit. You know, the old "I'm so sorry, I won't do that again" bullshit, and then I did
So
all the time.
you said you come to Oregon 1985, 1986. So are these like CC Slaughters, El Dorado,
Yes,
Ambers?
yeah. I came to Eugene, and there were at the time
Oh,
gay bars in Eugene. There was the River Inn, which was the dive bar, which I was attracted to, on Pearl, Cassidy's, and there was another one I don't remember. It was a lesbian bar. I don't remember that. I don't remember. No, because I haven't ever been in my life. But yeah. So there was, but I would drive to Portland on Stark Street. I found Stark Street. Yeah, baby.
that's my street, Mark.
Up the-
You don't even know. Like that is like from Roxy's to the Silverado, because the City nightclub.
Right,
First it was on 13th and Morrison, then it was on 13 and Burnside, so you could just cross
right.
and you're in Vaseline Alley, as they called it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my dancing haven. I don't know how to say it any other way. I think I danced my way through that street.
I would get there early in the afternoon and go to Embers
Yes.
and sit there with the fish bar at the time. It had fish in it. Remember the fish bar?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would be there, and I probably met half the people that are at, like Al and people like that in the day. Maybe.
I think I don't know for sure, but I think that Al might have been the bartender when I was there too. It's just the stories I hear, it's just crazy. But I was a lot younger, but yeah.
Yeah, I would get there in the afternoon, start drinking. Amber should hit some bar, the Brig or something like that, or CC Slaughters, and then close the bar and drive home to Eugene.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and yeah, that's very bad, very bad. And
I went to Eugene from Portland one time.
Yeah.
And it was to buy acid.
Okay.
And my friend of a friend knew a friend, and we went there, and only time I've ever done acid, and we got a sheet of acid, and there was 100 of them,
my God,
and we sold them. Yeah, we got it for $50, and we sold it for $5 a piece at the city, so we made $500.
yeah,
Yeah.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah, I've always been an entrepreneur.
that's amazing. Yeah, the city. The city club. Yeah, I remember a lot of that, and then I don't. It's just because I was so drunk the whole time, and and I don't remember. Yeah, and my relationship with my partner for 28 years, Gregor, I was just as unfaithful as you could possibly be. I just cheated on him all the time, and I'd call up and I'm not coming home. I'm staying in the old house, and then he would just put up with it.
Wow.
Push came to shove at the end. We had a nice life when we started. We had a nice townhouse that we rented, which we started at, and then we bought a house, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house together. He bought it with his money, and I lived there. And then we sold that house and bought a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath house in Eugene, a lot bigger house and a nicer yard. And then I was driving Mercedes. He had a Porsche, and I was cheating on him. And I found out he was cheating on me and sent me through the roof. I then decided to commit suicide. I think I told everybody know that story. I took all my drugs because I was on a lot of Klonopin, because you have to have Klonopin. I was on antipsychotic drugs, keep me from going crazy. And I waited till the first of the month and took all my pills, all the Klonopin, all the antipsychotics, every pill I had. I remember being in the bathroom just taking fistfuls of pills and swallowing them. Got in the bathtub, and I had my phone with me. I had a cell phone with me, and I called. I got in the bathtub, slit my wrist. I was definitely into dying, but Gregor was at work, and he worked late nights, And I called somebody's mother, not my mom, a friend of mine. I don't know how I got her number, but I didn't find this out until years later. I never figured out how they found me. Anyway, but they got there. I don't remember any of it. They carried me out of the house to the hospital here in Eugene. And I was in a coma for 3 days. It took me about 2 weeks to actually get to the point where I could talk and walk. And during that time, I asked Gregor, I said, can I come home? And he said, no. And I cried like a baby, right? That's the first time he had ever put his foot down and said, I've had it. And after 28 years. And anyway, I was in the hospital for a whole month. Then I went to rehab for a month in a place called Cedar Hills.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the name of it? In Beaverton or someplace. Anyway.
Beaverton.
Beaverton. Yeah, Cedar Hills.
Cedar Hills.
That's where I did IOP, Mark.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so then I had no place to live. I didn't have a car when I got out of that. And I went and lived with my mommy and daddy, which was an experience because and this was in 2013, 2012. To be honest with you, bad with it. But my dad said, you can live here. You have to work, you have to do X, Y, Z, you have to pay us money per month. And okay. And then they kicked me out after a while and then went to a sober living house in Springfield. But I stayed sober for 4 years.
Nice.
Yeah. Stayed sober for 4 years, but then decided I would smoke a joint. One time and that's the last thing I remember doing before I started drinking again. And then I was drunk up until the time that COVID started. And one of my friends, the only friend that I still had from my sober time, 4.5 years, said, Mark, there are Zoom AA meetings. And I thought, what the hell is a Zoom AA meeting? And I went to one of those 24-hour meetings, like 319 or something like that. And then I found the extended family at Lunch Bunch. And that's it. I remember you, Julie, you're one of the first people that I remember at the meeting, because you said to me, you have a nice background. And I said, thank you. So do you. And
Mark always changes his background, like it has candles, or he'll put a different picture up. I love the picture you did of Al on his 43rd birthday.
yeah.
That one was, I have it saved. That one was fucking amazing. But Mark is quite a technical on the computer.
Wow.
Very
It's
cool.
really good.
Very cool.
I have a lot of time
So
on my hands, so I go to a lot of meetings. I have a lot of friends I know in meetings. I have my own Zoom room that's open 20.
I love that.
And and people know me, and that's one of the things that we talked about, not having a typical higher power, and that's now I've been sober. I didn't stay sober from the time I got back to Zoom until now. And one day I decided, I don't know why, I don't remember thinking this, but I asked my caregiver to buy. I'm on disability now, and I'm homebound because of COPD. Anyway, so I asked him to get me a bottle of bourbon, and he did. And I drank 1 bottle of bourbon in 3 hours. And I went, that's fucked, because I didn't even get a buzz. Anyway.
Yeah, because there's never enough.
There's never enough. I'm overweight. I'm 340 pounds. And so it takes a lot of alcohol to get you drunk. It just does. And I have a high tolerance right now. I don't know why. But so that was one day. That was June 14th of 2023. June 15th, I started my time over again. And so now I've got 2 years and 8 months and some change.
I love
Very
that.
cool. Yeah.
You have a sponsor. I've met him.
Sure, yeah. His name is John. And he's a great guy. He's also an atheist, like I am.
He's a cool dude.
Have you?
He's cool. Yeah, he's been at a meeting with you. He's shared. I've met him, I think, twice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a cool guy, and we get along famously. Our weekly meeting is at 3:30 in the morning on Saturday.
That's
3:30
crazy.
in the morning.
Sacramento.
Just so you know, Peter doesn't get up before, I won't say, but
Well, that would be like the middle of the night for me.
So, and we meet once a week, and I can call him anytime. He's been sober for 42 years.
Wow, that's some time. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's got a partner, and they've been together 8 years or so. Yeah, and he has a sponsor too. and I've done the steps. I'm worked the steps. I'm not currently working the steps at the moment, but I do a lot of service work.
A lot.
Yeah, and
What kind of service work do you do?
I am the host of a meeting. I moderate a meeting. Do
We've Zoom hosted a million times there was a part where it was me, Mark, or Tim, pretty much. No, seriously, when I was off work,
yeah,
I would tell you, "Oh my god, I Zoom hosted 5 times
yeah,
this week." And it was me, Mark, and Tim Zoom hosting, and someone has to Zoom host to let all those people in,
yeah.
Or
period.
keep some out.
Yeah, and Mark also he hosts this really good meeting because of my new schedule and when we're not recording on Friday nights. We need each other on Friday nights at 7 p.m.
Right, me.
Believe it or not, even though I've only been there a few times. Peter, I know you've never been, but this is like the best run meeting. This is the one where the phone guy is there every Friday night and he says, "Do you want to be on the phone list? And do you need a phone list?" These two old ladies, they're a couple, and they ask in the meeting, "Do you need a phone call this week? And if you do, put your number in the chat," and makes the phone calls for the week. Never seen that in any other meeting. And I think
No.
it brought me to tears, to be honest with you, that just someone would take the time to call someone in the chat, Mark. Did you come up with
Yeah,
that?
no, that this meeting's been going for decades,
Really?
and yeah, it started as an in-person meeting years ago, and with the people that you know, Amanda and Diane,
Those
the
are the
women
ladies.
couple, and Hank been coming forever,
I've known
you
Hank
know,
forever, Mark.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I just have been and started going to the meeting 3 months ago or so. I decided to get back to the Eugene area meetings.
So it is out of Eugene originally?
Yeah, originally it's Eugene.
Is that where those two ladies live?
Yeah, they live in Eugene along with Hank, and then
I knew Hank was there. Wow. These two ladies, one of them has cancer, and I'd like to get them on the podcast. So first of all, but their
yeah,
story is just, I don't know, it's really inspiring. Anyway, I just like the way this meeting is run. It's run really, and I learned how to Venmo to the seventh tradition to that lady. I had never Venmoed anyone any seventh tradition until that meeting. And I was chatting with her and I'm like, "Did you get the money?" And so now the only two people I have saved on Venmo, she's one of them. Yeah, it was very cool. I'd like you to tell our listeners, and hopefully this is for Tim listening, because Tim pissed me off the first year more than a little bit with his negativity. He's gotten mellower, but Tim, whenever we talk about anything to do with this or that, I'm an atheist and that's full of shit and whatnot. And then Mark will talk about it, and Mark thanks the group for his spirituality. And can you say it how you say it? Because it's really, I just want people to hear it because if God's not your thing, that's okay. Page 25 of the big book. And I only know this because me and Peter were at a gala. Page 25 of the big book, and I read this and it didn't sink home until then, says you will develop a spiritual connection. It doesn't say that you will believe in God. It says you will develop a spiritual connection that will move you to the fourth dimension, which is what 4D recovery is named after. So it doesn't mention anything about that. It just says you'll get a connection. That could be with the people, right? Being
yep.
sober, service work. It doesn't have to be with that.
Yeah, I know for me, definitely, I usually start with I'm Mark, I'm an alcoholic, and I happen to be an atheist now, but I do have a higher power because to be honest with you, without a higher power, I can't do it. I can't do it on my own. I've tried and it doesn't work because I just don't have the power. Alcohol was my higher power for a long time. I tried being in my own higher power. That didn't work. And so my higher power is the group of Alcoholics Anonymous. So they usually say not one person, because one person will let me down, but the group of Alcoholics Anonymous and doesn't let me down. And the principles behind the group it doesn't let me down. that's important for me to say. And then I always tell people I want to hear how you stay sober. And if your higher power is X, Y, or Z, it doesn't matter to me. If that's what keeps you sober, I want to hear how you stay sober. And I tell you, I don't go to meetings and have people say I'm sober and without some sort of higher power. I don't hear it for long terms. It's just, really, it has to be something other than myself.
And I
And
agree with you because for me, for a long time, it was absolutely the group. It
yeah,
was the group, one member at a time that I trusted no one when I got there. And I really mean no one in this whole entire world. And really, my first sponsor was 76 years old when I met him. And being a gay man, he sure the hell didn't want to sleep with me, nor did he want anything from me. And that just someone wanting you to be okay and do better is a powerful thing when they don't want anything from you.
and and if you're like I am, and you can tell when a person is being. I have a good ability to parse out the people that are dangerous for me,
Mm.
and that comes from being on the street a lot when I was young, and I just don't have it connect with so many people, and I don't trust a lot of people, but I do take a chance now where I didn't used to take a chance before. I said, look, I'm going to accept the fact that you say you are who you are and you say what you want to say and it's being truthful. And then if you prove me wrong, then that's okay. But I'm going to trust. And that makes me vulnerable.
Hard.
It is hard. And I don't choose to do that with everyone.
I understand. I'm the same way. I might get along with everybody, and I guess it's cheers. Everybody knows your name, right? And we're
Right.
always glad you came. But who I hang out with in my personal circle
Right.
is different. And I know you had a big loss recently,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I felt your pain that night in the meeting.
Yeah, it's tough. When my dad died November 5th of 2024, my mom died the 3rd of this month. And it is hard. It's hard to have your parents gone. I used to fear that when I was young. First off, I feared I would die before I got my presents on Christmas. That was number one. But number two was my parents would die. That was a fear I had. But people die. And it's hard. And as well as I do with it. Once some are in a group of older alcoholic men or women, people die and it's sad.
Say that,
And my mom died, sad thing.
yeah. When my mom passed, it's been almost 20 years. My dad passed when I was 15, and my mom passed, Cassandra's, yeah, 20 years ago. And I cried and I was sad, but it didn't rock me. Okay. I was happy that I was doing the right thing. She told me I had become a great mother. And I guess that kind of was our way of getting there. But when I lost my sponsor, the first person I trusted, I cried for 3 months. I couldn't believe, the difference. And I will tell you, this last 6 months losing 5 of our members, right? I'm s I was very lucky. I got sober young, and I don't wanna get emotional, but a lot of these guys were old when I came in. I'm dead serious. Scott C doesn't really look different than he did when I came in. And
Yeah.
Al, like, he was a little bit chubbier, and same with Barry, right? And Pat,
Right.
that it's just and it's been hard. And they have been the foundation that I started with. And it's grown and I've added people to it. It's a safe place for me to be with the owls, the berries. And I get like you, I am a little I got to see to believe a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I welcome you. It doesn't matter if you're brand new. I want you to succeed. I pray for you, but am I going to have lunch with you? Maybe not. Yeah.
And and that's okay.
Mhm.
You can't be all things to all people. You just can't. You can reach out to people, you can be supportive, but you can't have maybe 5 friends that I count as really close friends, maybe. And that one of those is my sister. And I don't think I have the capacity to have the problem with English is we have very limited ability to describe relationships in English. And in Greek, they have a lot of different words you can use for love. They've got a lot of different words. And we just have, you're my friend. And that, what does that mean? What I love you. What does that mean? I don't say I love you a lot to people because I find it cheapens the word for me. I
Like that.
Yeah, I do love people, and I tell them I love them, but I don't throw it around. And I didn't throw it around when I was in a relationship with people. I told Gregor I loved him, but that was I just it's important to me to have a real feeling behind my words.
No, I like that.
A lot of people, a lot of words that they don't really believe in down deep.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I don't know. I communicate best through writing. I like I don't know. I send some cards. That's me calling on the phone. So I do it a little differently, but I'm very, very lucky for our meeting because it has developed my trust back. You know what I'm saying? And it has given me a family of choice. It's given me things that I didn't have. And I'm lucky. I hear some of the podcasts, and despite being molested, which I can talk about without crying now, Peter, isn't that much progress? Despite being molested, I can I know that I didn't have it as bad as some, and that I think that my higher power has been looking out for me the whole time. I was lucky to make it here.
Something you said too about family of choice and the gay world, at least growing up gay, the bars and the people there, those were the family of choice because for most of us, our true families didn't want anything to do with us. And then here in sobriety now, I have this other family of
Yeah.
choice in the meetings and the people that I hang out with now, and that's part of my life. So it's interesting the parallels there.
You know, I agree with you, and I think in the bars and stuff, right? So my family was so far away. My mom moved me from the East Coast, and I think it's where you get accepted. You had a rough time at home,
Yeah.
Mark. Me too. So I understand. And I'm really close with my aunts now. Since my mother died, I worship them, but they're just so far away. But in the program, I've gotten a dad. My sponsor is like the dad I've never had. I know it's different than the relationship it's supposed to be. And we're working on the traditions right now. We meet on the weekends once a month to do a tradition, and he's really good at the traditions. But holidays, Peter and I came up with this podcast. I asked Peter if there was anything he wanted to do that he hadn't done. And he said, I want to do a podcast. And I said, I want to do that with you. What would we call
It's
it?
on Father's
And
Day.
I said, we can call it the Real Recovery Podcast. We can share stories of recovery. And literally a month later, Peter's, I'm almost done setting it up. And I was like, holy shit.
I wasn't messing
Yeah.
around.
And then
I
he's like,
wanted
I
to
got
do
the
this.
website. And I'm like, holy shit. And next thing we're booking people on the podcast. And
That's cool.
it is.
Yeah, and here we are 2 years
And we're
later.
here with you, Mark. And it's
Yeah,
just
this is
amazing. And
awesome.
I'm super grateful because there's a reason why you're here and somebody was looking out for you. And I think I'm positive. Let's just put it that way. I am absolutely positive.
I'm positive I'm here, and I know, like I tell people, I'm not afraid of being dead. I'm just not smart enough to have an idea of what happens after you die. And I love watching ghost stories on these guys sitting in a room somewhere in a haunted house and seeing ghosts. Never happened to me. But
Never
alien
happened to
people,
me.
I have a friend that was abducted by an alien, and I listened to her, and I thought, oh, wow, that's scary. I wouldn't want that happening to me, but that's never happened to me. I just don't have. I don't know. I don't know. We're all going to be dead at some point in the future, and we'll know or we won't know then. My belief, and it's a belief, like everybody has to have beliefs, right? My belief is nothing happens after you die, which is okay. I'm just afraid the act of dying, which is happening to me right now, the act of dying sucks, I can tell you that much. But being dead doesn't bother me. My mom was very religious, turned 76, and she was really depressed and upset. She was worried, and she's very religious. And I said, what are you worried about? I said, you have this belief system that after you die, you're going to be in heaven. And we talked about her belief system. I said, then don't be afraid, Mom. the reality of it is, no matter what we do, there's no way we can avoid being afraid of being dead.
I think the most you can do for it, and a therapist told me this, I was scared for a long time because my dad died young. I was scared I was going to have a heart attack because he had a heart attack. And I was in fear for the longest about my daughter. Her father died young, and then my mother was gone at my daughter was 13. So I always had paperwork because I didn't want anything to happen to her for this other person to take her. When she turned 18, I was so grateful no one could take her. You know what I'm saying? And now she's 34. But I worried about that for so long. And I think the only thing you can do is prepare your paperwork, and that's
Right.
the most you can do, I think.
Yeah, I've got it all taken care of. I'm going to be cremated, and I don't care what happens with my ashes. I'll be long gone. But I took care of it so Stacy doesn't, my sister doesn't have to. And
Oh,
we talk about, there's a great book. It's called On Death and Dying, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And it talks about the stages of grief and stuff that when people die. And that was an important book for me to read. I have copies of it I give to people, like my caregivers and stuff, because I've come to accept the fact that I'm in really bad shape, and I don't think I'm going to live much longer. But I've been thinking that since I was a kid. You never freaking know. I swear to God, just keep plugging away, Mark. But
one
yeah, it basically is. I wake up and go, "Oh, it's pretty good today. I'm feeling pretty." As long as I sit here, I don't do very much. I can breathe pretty well. Do you remember Dee Dee? Julie had COPD too, and he died. He was on, yeah, he was at the hospital.
so
Yeah,
unique story. You're talking about Donald, Dee Dee,
yeah.
and Donald came to our meeting in my first year. And after I was already there, he came and looked completely different. He had red hair, beard, his hair flipped back. And every day I went to the meeting, it was to not sit by Donald. I would come 25 minutes early if I could, just to not sit by Donald. And he would lie, God rest his soul.
Uh,
He would lie and he wouldn't say he relapsed, but whenever he did, his face broke out. So I would know. And so then when we're going to online meetings and he's dying, he said he got it transposed, but he said he had 21 years sober. And I was like, there's no fucking way. I'm just doing the math. And then he comes to me the next night and he's, Julie, I have 12 years sober. And I said, good for you. Cause then it made sense to me. I told myself, Julie, this man is showing up every night, right? When he doesn't
yeah,
feel good. No. So I brought him a cake and his last coin that he got. I delivered it to that house so that he would have it. And because he did have the 12 years sober. And I thought, what a miracle, because I knew you when you were a hot fucking mess. So I was like so grateful. And just like other people, I think sometimes it's just enough to be sober. Does that make sense? And for him, yeah, to be
yeah.
sober and attend meetings, like, especially when you don't
Yep.
feel good.
And the reality of it is, we're all on a journey, and we decide what our journey is going to be like. Do I want to improve my spiritual self, which is my relation? For me, it's my relationships with other people and how I react to people, my my relationships in the universe, and I know when I'm healthy and when I'm not healthy. And my attitude towards others is really a big gauge of whether or not I'm healthy spiritually. Because
That
if
makes sense.
go to me, everything bothers me, then that's my problem. Something's going on with me.
Yeah.
You know, if I hold resentments, I'm lucky. I'm a lucky guy because I don't hold on to resentments, and I've never been that way, except for my sister in Beaverton. I'm going to hold on to that one for a long time.
I love it. Well,
Oh, I've been
I really want to thank you. Thanks for the delay tonight. Thanks for breaking our cherry on the
Yeah,
video
I was going to say, putting up
recording.
with this.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate it more than I can say. I will tell you, it means a lot to me. You really do. Mhm.
having me. Thank you, Peter, and thank you, Julie, for doing this.
get you a
Yeah, thank
podcast
you.
shirt.
You
I'll make sure you get it. I'll mail it to
Oh,
you.
that.
Yeah, well, we just ordered some more, but I think what size do you want? Because I'll mail it to you, baby.
we got 4X. No trouble.
So
That's good.
I will mail that to you so you can rock it at a meeting. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and it was so nice meeting you. Your story brought a lot of memories from my past too, not just with my sober journey, that growing up in a house that thought gay was evil and then getting out into the, I guess, coming out into the gay world and that whole experience. And you touched on some of those things and it got me thinking. So I appreciate you and I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much.
It's a big show. Thank you all. And you all have a good night and have fun in post-production.
That's Peter.
Well, we will. That's me. That's all my job.
This is Julie for the
All
Real
right.
Recovery Podcast.
And this is Peter. And we're here with Mark. And thank you all for listening.
Have a good night, guys.
That's a wrap on today's episode. Thanks to each and every one of you for lending us your ears and hearts. Your engagement is what fuels our passion and keeps this podcast thriving.
We cherish the moments we share here and hope they resonate with you, whether you're on a daily commute, at the gym, or just taking a moment for yourself.
Make sure to head over to our website at realrecoverypodcast.com. While you're there, subscribe to our newsletter for the latest insights and uplifting stories from our community delivered straight to your inbox.
Click that subscribe button on your favorite podcast player too, so you can keep up with every new episode. It's your support that keeps our conversation alive and meaningful.
And if our stories have touched you, consider using the donate button on our site. Your contributions, no matter the size, are deeply appreciated. They help us continue our mission of sharing hope and healing.
Join us beyond the podcast and follow our journey on social media. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and on X, formerly known as Twitter. All the links are on our site, so you can stay connected and be a part of the Real Recovery community every day.
Your likes, shares, and comments not only spread the message of recovery, but also remind us that we're all in this together.
So, until we meet again, remember that recovery is a journey, not a destination, and we'll be here to accompany you every step of the way to recovery, real recovery.
Thanks for listening.